I'm going to say it. It might be a little controversial, but I'm going to say it. I don't think buying a house is all it's cracked up to be. I don't. I said it.
Whoever said buy a house, they stupid.
To advocate for home ownership for everyone, but everyone is not ready to be a homeowner and everyone shouldn't be a homeowner.
People all over the country thought they were buying dream homes, but instead they're stuck with financial disasters. If you're not careful, you could be next. A lot of people believe you shouldn't buy a home until you can afford your dream home, but is that actually smart?
I'm a first-time home buyer. We're closing on our first house soon, and we do not love this house, but that was literally our only option. If you think it's any different than that in the market right now, let me explain to you what's going on. First of all, let's talk about money. This is my job, okay? I'm a full-time content creator. I've been a full-time content creator since October. My husband is currently an electrical engineer, and we do not have enough money to even come close to buying a house that we would have loved. Here's the thing. We moved up to New York. We're buying a house in New York. We used to live in Pennsylvania. You know what our jobs were in Pennsylvania? Teachers. We were both high school teachers. I was a high school teacher for 5 years, and my husband switched careers. He is now an electrical engineer, but he used to be a science teacher. And just in the last 6 months, we are finally able to actually buy a house because we made that shift. How unbelievably sad is it that two teachers could not ever even come close to buying this exact house that we're gonna buy, that we don't love, but we're just barely able to do it now because we had a career shift. We changed our whole lives around.
You don't have to fall in love with a house just to buy it. It just needs to meet your needs and some of your wants. Buying a home should be a financial decision, not an emotional one. Most first-time home buyers can't afford their dream home, and that's completely normal. There's nothing wrong with starting smaller and building up later if you want. And we know teachers are often underpaid, especially in large cities. Sadly, this makes homeownership harder for them. What's important is that this woman and her husband pivoted to new careers where they could make more money and eventually own a home. So respect to them for that. Now, for the educators watching, there's a program called Good Neighbor Next Door that lets you buy certain homes at 50% off of the list price. You can find more information on that on the HUD website. So do you think you need to fall in love with a home before buying it, or is meeting your needs enough? Let me know what you think. In this next clip, she takes it a step further. What she says might change how you think about buying a home.
And even that said, there are no houses out there for regular people. The price range that we were looking in, all of our teacher money that we had saved up, there are no houses. You cannot wait to buy one that you love, at least not up here, because there are none. So you gotta jump on a house when you see it, and you gotta have eyes for potential. You gotta see the vision. You gotta make it a house you love, and that is our plan. Getting your foot in the door as a first-time homebuyer has been the most difficult thing in the world. We've been renting because that's literally all that we could afford until now. So is this our forever home? Probably not. This is our first home that we're incredibly excited and grateful for. But saying to first-time homebuyers, wait, be patient, wait for the one you love, that just doesn't work anymore. They are not out there. If you don't want to spend $500,000 on your first fixer-upper house, you don't have tens of thousands of dollars for a down payment, closing costs, all the things you need, it's not happening. And that is a problem.
I agree with her point that you don't need to buy a home you love because it's just not necessary. And she's thinking outside the box by imagining what the home could be in the future. And I respect that. Over time, you can improve a home little by little and shape it into what you want it to be. Home buyers should be patient. Don't rush into buying if the only money you have is for the down payment and the closing costs, because that's a setup for failure. You won't have any money left for repairs, moving costs, or emergencies. And this is why it's important to know exactly what you can afford. To make that easier, I created a free home affordability calculator. It gives you an estimate of the price range that fits your budget, and there's a short video to walk you through it as well. If you're interested, that link is in the pinned comments. But eventually, when it's your time, you deal with the reality of whatever the market is. And if a home checks enough of your boxes, it might be the right move. Overall, I agree with most of what she said, and I understand her frustration about how tough home buying can be right now. So would you rather start a home and improve it over time, or wait until you can afford something closer to your dream home? Let me know what you think. So what happens when you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a house only to regret it?
My biggest financial regret that I've ever had in life was purchasing a home back in 2021 for these 3 reasons. Number one, I had to put a 30% down payment on my home. My down payment was roughly around $330,000. I bought my 2-bedroom, 3-bath townhome for $910,000. And the reason why we had to put so much down at the time was just because of my income. I was only making around, I think, $100,000 to $110,000. That was the only way we could get the math work. Now, my monthly mortgage payment, if you factor in interest, taxes, HOA, etc., it's roughly around $4,200. If I was renting right now, I could probably rent a really nice 2-bedroom condo or apartment for $3,500. So that would save me $700 a month. However, Had I just not bought a home, I could have taken that $300 and $10,000, $20,000 that I used as a down payment and just invested in the stock market. We all know the stock market bottomed in 2022, and and you see where it is today, right? I could easily have an extra, at the very minimum, a couple $100,000 in my stock portfolio.
I don't think putting 30% down on a house is a bad thing. It gives you a solid amount of equity from day one and lowers your monthly payment compared to putting a lot less down. $910,000 is definitely expensive for a townhome, but in some parts of California, that's actually a normal price range. There's an opportunity cost to everything, meaning that when you choose one option, you're giving up the benefits of another. And that's what he's wrestling with here. And it's easy to look back and say, if I invested in a certain stock, I would have so much money by now, because hindsight is always 2020. However, it's also true that if you look at the S&P 500 chart since 2022, the total stock market has gone up a lot. The real question is, should he regret buying this home, or was it just the right move for him at that time? Let me know what you think in the comments. So what he says next shows why you should never skip steps in the home buying process.
Number 2, in the market that I live in, renting is actually cheaper than buying a home. Again, as I previously stated, I probably am paying an extra, $700 to $1,000 more per month by owning a home rather than renting one. And then number 3, owning a home is just really, really overrated. There's maintenance that you have to worry about. I've already had to replace an AC, and my home is like 3 to 4 years old. So it's actually really, really new. I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to replace a dishwasher, a washer and dryer. Owning a home is not cheap. There are a lot of expenses that come with maintaining a home, and you have to do it yourself. If I lived in an apartment complex, I could call the landlord and then they would send somebody to help me fix the problem. Honestly, if I could do it again, I would just rent a nicer apartment or a condo, whatever, in a nicer community, and then just invested my money instead in the stock market. But again, everybody's different. Everybody has different ways to invest and build wealth. Real estate is not one avenue of building wealth that I really like. All right, guys, hope you guys like this video. Make sure you guys follow and like for more.
So a recent Bankrate study found that in 2025, renting is cheaper than buying in all 50 of the largest US metros. Regardless of the details, it seems like he regrets homeownership overall. This is why it's important to buy a home for the right reasons and not because society tells you it's the next step. And for a 3-year-old home to already need a new AC is surprising and concerning to me. And it makes me wonder, did he get an inspection? A lot of people skip inspections on new construction homes because they assume everything works perfectly. But as we've seen on the channel, that's not always true, and you should never skip an inspection. And what he's describing is the realities of home ownership. When something breaks, you're responsible. Nothing wrong with that. It's just the reality. In my opinion, based on his frustration, I think he'll eventually sell this home and go back to renting. But do you think he should sell this home since he regrets it so much? Let me know in the comments. If you regret not buying a home when you feel like you had the opportunity, the next clip proves that you can bounce back from that.
Saying that goes, the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago, and then the next best time is today. And I think the same concept applies to real estate. The best time to have bought a house was in 2008, 30 years ago, etc. And for me specifically in 2021, I was ready to buy a house, but there was so much talk about prices going down that I decided to hold off. Unfortunately, that decision did cost me 2 years of crazy appreciation, as well as the 2% interest rate that I had previously gotten. Anyways, no regrets, a little bit of regrets, but I did pull the trigger finally in 2023, and I'm so glad I did. Even though the interest rates were painful, I have seen so much appreciation, even just since 2023. And so I know I made the right decision for me at the time, and this is just kind of an encouragement. If you know you can afford the monthly payment comfortably, don't wait too long and don't try to time the market, because you can't really time that. Just pull the trigger and enter it in, start building your equity.
I think she should have bought in 2021 if she was truly ready, meaning she had a budget and an emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of living expenses, including her potential mortgage payment in addition to her down payment. Listening to people predicting a market crash is only going to hurt you. The reality is all these predictions are wrong. Let me be clear. There is no market crash coming. Anyone saying that is lying to you. There's no data to back it up. Are there places where prices are correcting somewhat? Yes. Is inventory rising in some areas? Yes. But overall, median home prices prices are still higher than they were 5 years ago. So it's a blessing that she was still able to buy a home in 2023. On the flip side, when the interest rates dropped, many people panicked and bought homes they could not really afford, often paying way more than the homes were actually worth. I appreciate her honesty in sharing her story, and I'm glad it worked out for her in the end. Do you think she made the right move waiting until 2023, or should she have bought in 2021? Let me know what you think. The next clip proves the importance of being ready for home maintenance, and it might also make you laugh. Let's check it out.
Whoever said buy a house, they stupid. And I hope that they get an ingrown toenail. And you know what? I hope they get an ingrown toenail, and every time they hit their pinky toe, that's what an ingrown toenail on. Like, that's what this was the dumbest thing to do, was to buy a house. Every time I turn around, it's something, and I can't call nobody but myself because I'm the landlord. Y'all, my whole yard had been soaking wet out here. Ask me, did I know? Nope. Did I care? No, because it was on the outside of the house. I'm on the inside. What it got to do with me? Come to find out, it was water that was coming out these little pipes over here. Had the ground soaking wet. Turns out we had to get a new hot water tank. I didn't know where the water was coming from. As far as I know, the house was crying a pen. I don't know. Probably tired because I'm tired. Every time I look up, it's a problem. So we had to get a new hot water tank put in. So spending some money that I did not know I needed to spend. So yeah, getting a house is ghetto. 10 out of 10, don't recommend.
So this is the funniest clip I've seen in a long time. She says she thought the house was crying or peeing. What many people underestimate is that as a homeowner, again, you are responsible for everything. There's no landlord to call. You either fix it yourself or hire a professional. How often issues come up typically depend on the home's condition, but there are also things that just need regular maintenance. I've had to replace a hot water tank myself. It was not fun spending the money, but I'm glad I had it set aside. The common guideline is to save 1 to 2% of your home's purchase price each year for repairs. So an example is, if your home costs $400,000, that means saving about $4,000 per year, or roughly $333 a month just for maintenance and repairs. But I want to hear from you. Do you think she's overreacting to the water heater repair? Owning a home means taking responsibility, and the next clip shows exactly what that looks like.
To advocate for home ownership for everyone, but everyone is not ready to be a homeowner, and everyone shouldn't be a homeowner. I think one of the big perks of renting is that you don't have to deal with maintenance, and maintenance as a homeowner is very, very important. When I tell y'all, there have been so many issues lately that have just been randomly popping up, and even though it's frustrating, we're able to either fix it ourselves or come up with a plan on how we're going to get it done eventually. But let me tell you, calling people to do all of your maintenance is going to leave your pockets empty. For example, so say that you have a leaky bathtub and you're like, oh, I need to get a new, well, you don't even know what to do. You don't take the initiative to try to look it up. You're just like, oh, I need to call a plumber. That plumber is going to cost you to come out to look at it, first of all, depending on who you're hiring. And then they're going to charge you $500 to do a quick, easy fix for something that literally costs $30 from the store. And you know what? All I did was search up on YouTube how to fix a leaky bathtub faucet. So as a homeowner, you need to take initiative, be able to learn, adapt. And if you cannot do those things, make sure that you have the money, because you will need lots of it.
Yo, I was not ready for that phone to drop, but I love that she picked it up and kept going. If you don't want the responsibility of home ownership, then don't do it. There's no shame in renting if that's what works best for you. I agree that not everyone is ready to be a homeowner, and it's important to prepare before taking that step. She's also right. It's smart to fix what you can by yourself. YouTube University can be a powerful tool. Even if you're not naturally handy, don't underestimate your ability to learn. With some repairs, you'll actually need a professional, but you can do more on your own than you think. So do you try to fix things around your home yourself, or do you prefer to call a professional in most cases? It's important to buy a home when it's the right time for you, not anyone else. Here's why.
I'm going to say it. It might be a little controversial, but I'm going to say it. I don't think buying a house is all it's cracked up to be. I don't. I said it. There's so much pressure to settle down to buy a house, especially when you have children. And I just want to say it's not that easy for everybody. I think it's easier to settle down and find and like stay put when you have family, or like you're super close with your family, like you have a hometown. Does that make sense? I'm so thankful for our house and so thankful that our kids have so much land to just run free. However, we know we won't be here forever. So, I know, I thought this was gonna be forever. We thought so too. But we live in an area where the schools are horrible. Bad. I will never send my kids to school here. So if I ever want to put our kids in school, we have to move somewhere else where the schools are better. Living in the woods is great, but it is hard being a mother, and I will say I miss the community. I miss walking around. I miss the community pool, the community park. So in 5 years or whatever, I hope that we can find something that makes Tyler and I both happy. And I'm not really sure I want to buy another house for a very long time. So I'd rather rent. And I know people say owning a house is cheaper. Not right now.
She's 100% correct. There's a lot of societal pressure to buy a home at a certain point in life. If no one has told you, I will. It doesn't matter if other people think you need to buy a house. What matters is doing what's best for you and preparing for when the time is right for you. We really need to stop caring about what people think about our home buying decisions, especially if they're not the ones paying for it. I like that she's thinking 5 years ahead. That gives the family time to plan and decide ultimately what's best. The idea that buying is always cheaper than renting is outdated at this point. In today's market, like we mentioned before, rent often costs less than a mortgage. So for those raising kids or who have raised kids, did the school system play a role in where you chose to live? I would love to hear your thoughts. The next clip shows why skipping due diligence can lead to serious regret.
Hey y'all, I thought I'd come on here with a little condo/life update. The update is I'm having buyer's remorse. Long story short, like I said, went with the location, which I'm saying is still prime, but I went with a little bit of an older unit than I would normally prefer. And yesterday, someone left the gas stove on somewhere in the building, and long story short, the police department or the fire department broke down my door. I don't even live there. Broke the frame, broke the locks, and now that has to be fixed. It smells like cats. It's carpet. And at first I was like, oh, it's cute and this and that. I'm over it. I'm redoing the floors. But I looked on realtor.com and found the most gorgeous, perfect unit with everything I was looking for. And I'm just heartbroken, to be honest. Like, going with an older unit, I lost having an apartment gym, which you guys have seen me, like, that's where I've been doing my thing. I can run there before I work from home and work out or do it, before I go to work. And
I'll never tell anyone what to buy or not to buy, but you have to do your due diligence and make sure you're ready for the reality of that property, especially if it's a condo. I'm really sorry that she had that experience. I'm not sure why they broke down her door, but if they had the wrong place, I believe she should be compensated, because I'm sure it's not going to be cheap to fix what they broke. They say comparison is the thief of joy, and I think that's true here. Looking at other units and getting upset that yours isn't as nice only makes it harder for you. This is why it's important to evaluate your priorities before buying a condo, house, or any property. Knowing what matters most to you upfront can help you avoid this type of regret. But do you think she should regret buying the condo, or is it just part of owning an older unit? The final clip is proof that rushing into a home purchase almost always leads to regret.
there's no apartment gym. There's someone in the building who is dumb enough to leave the stove on where a door had to get broken into to make sure that it wasn't my unit. I'm just kind of like sad that I think I rushed too soon because I was worried I was going to run out of time. I didn't even have the energy to sit up to even do this. But like, the unit I'm in now is just, like I said, when I leave here, I'll show you guys. But it's nice. It's modern. It's much newer. And I'm just kind of heartbroken about like seeing the unit that I did on Realtor and realizing like I went with something that I typically don't really go for as much. So I don't know, y'all. If you have any words of wisdom or advice, I'm like already planning to leave after a year or something, or rent it out or so. I don't know. Let me know if you have any words of wisdom, if you purchased a home or a condo or something and then felt like you regretted it.
She She knew there wasn't an apartment gym before she moved in, so why is that suddenly a problem now? I do respect that she admitted the real issue. She rushed into the purchase because she thought she would run out of time. Let me be clear, you're not running out of time. Buy a home when it makes sense for you, not because of outside pressure. Rushing is a recipe for disaster. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with what she showed us in the quick scan of the unit. What about you? If she sees this, I'd encourage her to renovate the unit to her liking over time. And if she sells after only a year, she likely won't make much, if anything. Do you think she rushed into the condo too quickly, or is it simply a case of buyer's remorse? Let me know your thoughts. We've seen it all today. Buyers who rushed into the process too fast, people who skipped steps, and homeowners who learned the hard way what real estate is really about. If there's one lesson, it's this: buying a home has to be done on your terms, not because of pressure, emotion, or fear of missing out. So if you're wondering how much house you can potentially afford, use my free home affordability calculator. It'll give you a realistic number you can feel confident about, and you can find it in the pinned comment. And if you're planning to buy or sell a home within the next year, I'm also a licensed realtor. I can personally connect you with a trusted agent in your area who understands the market and can guide you in the right way. And the link for that is also in the pinned comment. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best real estate decision is one that keeps you prepared, in control, and at peace. Now that you know about bad home buying decisions, I want you to learn about property tax issues and how to avoid them. Check out this video right here.